Ice fishing can be one of the most rewarding and fun ways to fish, but the gear you need to get started is completely different from traditional fishing. Today, I'm gonna break that all down for you, as well as a few other additional pieces of equipment that you can use to enhance your ice fishing experience. But to start, I'm gonna show you the absolute bare minimum that you need to get out in the water and start fishing. Let's talk about it. Look at that, it's snowing. What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome to the Katie Fishing YouTube channel. Ice fishing is right around the corner. You guys know me, I fish from a pontoon, a family boat that's kept on one lake, but we're limited to that one lake. So ice fishing is the perfect opportunity to explore new bodies of water, and bodies of water that usually hold much bigger fish. And throughout the video, I'm gonna be putting images of all the products and gear that I'm using up on the screen, as well as linking all of the products below so you guys can go and find exactly what I'm showing you here in today's video. So the first item on today's list of absolutely necessary pieces of equipment you need: an ice pick or safety picks. This is basically a set of safety picks that you wear around your neck like this at all times while you're ice fishing. So if you fall through the ice, you can pull yourself out. If any of you have tried to walk across bare ice without snow adding that sort of grip under your feet, it's incredibly difficult to A, move, B, pull yourself out, especially when you're splashing around, there's water everywhere, the surface becomes impossible to pull yourself out of. You fall, open these up, boom, 2 picks, crawl your way out. They'll save your life. Do not step foot on the ice until you have these. Number 2 on the topic of safety is a spud bar. Now what a spud bar is used for is checking the depth of the ice. And when you're walking across an unfamiliar body of water, you're not sure if there's weak spots or thick spots, which if you're new to ice fishing, just because the spot you tested was thick enough to walk on does not mean the rest of the lake is safe enough to walk across. So spud bar is used for checking the depth as you walk across the body of water. The way you use this, put your arm through this loop so that if the bar does go through the ice, you don't send it through all the way to the bottom of the lake and it's gone forever. The way you use this is as you're walking, every 4 or 5 steps, give this a good hit into the ice. If it breaks through, the ice is too thin. If it doesn't, you're good to go to keep walking. Number 3 on the topic of safety is going to be a pair of these. These are metal grips, spikes, chains, whatever you want to call it, in the bottom of your waterproof boots. So these slip on over any pair of boots and they just give you traction as you're walking across the ice. When the lake is a bit covered in snow, I usually get away without these, but in the earlier season when the water's frozen and it hasn't really snowed yet, that's kind of how the weather can be here a lot of times in New England, these are a lifesaver. So you made it out on the ice safely. What's next? You'll need one of these, an auger. It's currently in 2 pieces because I just pulled it out of storage. But the way this works is the handle just bolts into here. And once you're out on the ice, crank this. That is how you make the hole through the ice to start fishing. So this video, like I said, is the beginner's guide, budget guide, introductory guide to ice fishing. That is the reason why I'm showing you all a hand auger. It's what I've used for the past 2-3 years and it works fine. However, there are 1,000,001 different options for augers. I'm gonna put a few options here on the screen that range from battery powered to power drill attachments to gas powered. My personal recommendation, if I were to upgrade from a hand auger to some sort of powered auger, would be either a battery powered auger or adding a power drill attachment to this. Both are fantastic options. The drill attachment auger is great because it's sort of a 2-for-1. If you already own a drill, all you need is the attachment. It's also great because if you own, let's say, a full set of DeWalt tools and you buy a DeWalt drill for the auger, you should already have a bunch of batteries to get you through a full day. Instead of buying different brands, having to go out and buy more batteries, easily last multiple days off a few batteries out there with the drill attachments. Same honestly goes for the electric augers. Technology with the lithium ion batteries has come a long way. One battery on these electric augers will usually last an entire day, and they are great for drilling a bunch of holes. If you're setting up tip ups, if you like to move around, it does get a bit tiring drilling these holes constantly by hand, but like I said, we're just getting started and we make do with what we got. This is what I would recommend for someone just getting started on a budget, wants to get out in the ice and doesn't mind putting in a little bit of work to go fishing. Next, after you make the hole in the ice, you're gonna want one of these. Once you drill that hole in the ice, there's gonna be a bunch of slush in the water. You use this to pull the slushy ice out so that your line can go down without getting snagged or caught up on the ice. If there is a lot of ice and the line freezes over, you risk like ice causing abrasion to your line and it could snap off when you hook a fish, or if you're fighting a fish and you're trying to move it around and there's all ice floating around everywhere. You also lose a lot of sensitivity to small bites if there's a lot of ice in the way. So this is great for clearing that out. Also, this scoop has a ruler, I guess you could call it. It has inch markings all the way up to 16 inches on here, which A, is great for checking the depth of the ice. So you drill the hole, put this under, the ice is my hand, right? Pull this up to the bottom of the ice and you measure where the top of the ice is and you just read it right off of here. This is a great little $10, $15 investment that will save you so much headache. So now you're on the ice. Who wants to be standing on their feet all day? Next, and probably the best investment I've made in my ice fishing journey so far, it's a nice comfortable chair, exactly what I'm sitting on right now. This little chair has been phenomenal and I think was a $20, $30 investment. Well worth it. Let me get up and show you guys what this thing looks like. So it's just this little foldable chair. Got it from Bass Pro, ordered it online. Like I said, 20, 30 bucks maybe. I'll put the link down below. It folds up nice into a little carry pouch and incredibly light. Perfect for a day of ice fishing. Has a nice back for back support because there's nothing worse than sitting on a stool all day and then your back is sore and you ruin your day of ice fishing. So get yourself a good chair. This thing is perfect. Can't beat it. 30 bucks. Like I said, link below. All right, so you've safely made it out on the ice. You're ready to fish. Now what? Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is about the basics of ice fishing to get you started. I would say the majority of anglers use what are called tip-ups. I'll put a picture on the screen here. Essentially what it is a system in where there's a spool of line and a wooden bar like this, and then there's a vertical bar. So the horizontal bar sits over the ice, the vertical bar stands straight up and down and holds a flag. That string attaches to a latch or a lever that when a fish bites whatever bait you have down below, it triggers that lever, the flag shoots up, and you know you have a fish on. I will give you guys a few examples that friends of mine use that have been recommended to me for one reason or another. These are all fantastic options. You can't go wrong. Personally, I do not use tip-ups. A, because I don't really like being bothered with live bait. B, I like to move around a lot, especially since I'm a bit newer to ice fishing. A lot of it is trial and error, and what I don't want to do is set up on a spot, drill 10 holes, set up all my tip-ups, and then find out there's no fish there. I mean, the smart way to do it is to see if there's fish there first with a fish finder or a regular rod and reel and then set your tip-ups. But regardless, I like having the flexibility and freedom to move around, and all I need to do is pick up my chair, grab my gear, throw it in the sled, and keep moving. So on that topic, I use a number of various ice fishing rod and reels. Many of you may know this already, but an ice fishing rod is not the same as your traditional rod and reel. They're much smaller because you're sitting like this over a little hole, right? Also because the bites during ice fishing season are so much softer and slower. You need to be able to feel every single bite. So I have three main rods that I use, sort of a light, medium, and heavier setup. I'm not talking heavy in the sense of large lake trout, muskie, pike. I'm talking heavy in the sense of largemouth, smallmouth bass. Nonetheless, I'll show you guys the three rods that I use. Number one is this Polar Fire Red Zone rod is the name of it. This is a 26-inch light action. It's great for very small jig heads like this. Very sensitive for small bites. Really great rod for like perch, sunfish, panfish, crappie. Yeah, anything in that category. This has been a phenomenal rod. And I believe I have this set up with 3 or 4 pound test. We'll put the link to this down below. The next one is my sort of, I guess, medium to medium heavy rod. It is a 27-inch medium light, okay? It actually acts a bit heavier than the description reads because it has a much stiffer backbone. I think it's a fast action. So you can see the tip has a lot of bend, backbone not so much. So this is good for larger fish, like definitely a great rod for smallmouth, largemouth bass. This I believe is set up with 4 or 5 pound test. Again, we'll link this below. Last is my newest rod that I purchased towards the end of last season. It is a Celsius Black Ice. and it is a 30-inch medium heavy. Again, another great rod for, you know, larger jigs that are in here that require a bit more force. So these are the three main rods that I use. Bare Basics covers all categories of fish that you could possibly be targeting, and this setup has worked great for me. Next, now that you're out on the ice, you need some tackle. This box is primarily filled with various sides of jig heads, such as these much larger jigs. A few more examples look like this. Things like this that you throw and let them sink, to these other jig heads with different colors, and other jig heads like this that have a rattle in the back of them so they make a little bit of noise. Great for drawing in fish from farther distances away. So I have this tackle box with me at all times. You honestly don't need a ton of tackle to get started. This one box has gotten me through 2 seasons and caught plenty of fish. I usually throw it in a backpack along with some other gear, and we're ready to go. I also will usually carry around an extra spool or 2 of line. This is 4-pound test, great for such a wide variety of ice fishing setups. They do sell ice specific line. This is just 4-pound monofilament from Berkeley. It's been great. So I usually keep a spool or 2 of these in my bag just so I can you know, tie things up or respool as needed, and just sort of always have it around. That if you are fishing pike, muskie, larger fish like that, you will want to upgrade to heavier pound test, but this is perfect for most of your applications. In my tackle box, I also carry a knife, pair of scissors, pair of pliers, so that if you hook a fish in sort of a weird spot, you know, there's gonna be a time when you're not gonna be able to get that hook out. Pair of pliers works great, just throw it in your bag. If I do decide to use live bait, or I know that I'm going to be taking fish home with me, I'll bring along a bait bucket or just a regular 5-gallon bucket that I can throw fish in that I'm taking home. Nothing crazy. If it's a bait bucket, just throw an aerator on there. Anything from, you know, your local tackle shop will work just fine. Something that works for all season will work great during the ice fishing season. It's not any different. A lot of the concepts are still the same. A few other things I may throw into my bag with me are obviously food, extra pairs of gloves, extra hats, phone charger, towels. I'll throw in a couple rags like this just to dry your hands off and keep you warm. So I would say the last item on my essentials list, now that you have all of this gear, how do you take all this stuff across a frozen lake with you? Well, that's a great question. And the answer to that is a jet sled. This jet sled that I have has been absolutely perfect. It comes with the string, rope, whatever you want to call it, that you can throw it around your chest and just walk, or just drag it behind you. Glides across the snow, super, super easy. It's light, fits right into the back of the car, and so far has carried everything that I could possibly need. I would definitely size up if you're buying one for the first time. The one I have is, I don't know the length off the top of my head, but I'll put it down below. It works great. It's fit everything I need and serves as a great place to store all of your equipment when you're not fishing. All right, guys, so I told you I would break this into 2 categories, the essentials and the nice to haves. We've covered all the essentials. Now I'm going to talk to you about some of the nice to haves. The first, almost essential, to be honest, kind of falls right in the middle for me, is a fish finder. I say it doesn't fall under the budget category because the fish finder that I purchased was somewhere in the $300 range, I believe. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't consider a $300 plus purchase to be budget. However, there are plenty of options that work just as well for way cheaper than what I purchased. What I have is the Garmin Striker Plus 4 ice fishing bundle. The package that you purchase comes with the whole case to carry everything around and store everything. Comes with the battery that lasts multiple days without charging. Comes with all the charging equipment, and then it comes with the fish finder, of course, as well as the sonar and the cable that goes down, and then a little flotation device so you can adjust the depth of where that sonar cone sits based on the depth of the ice. So that's been an incredible piece of equipment for me. Like I said, there are a plethora of lower cost options. I'll give you guys a few options below. Some of the cheaper options include just flashers without the screen. It's basically a ring or a circle where there's one indicator light for your lure and there's one indicator light for a fish coming to meet it. So it's a very similar concept where you match up the 2 lights. That means a fish is there. Next, the last 2 items that are more centered around your comfort and helping you last an entire day out on the ice when it is freezing cold and windy out, as it often is when you're ice fishing, is an ice fishing shanty. They range from different various levels of installation, size, colors, brands. If I were to purchase one, I would probably start with like a smaller 5x5 one. It's perfect for 2 people. It's a similar situation to what I mentioned before. Personally, I love to move around. I usually don't sit in one spot for more than 30 minutes to an hour. So constantly setting up and removing that tent from one area is incredibly time consuming. That's honestly the main reason I don't use one myself. I find that dressing warm enough and sitting with my back to the wind, I'm perfectly warm. But to each their own, and it's an incredible option that is there if you need it. Second, within those tents, you can buy little portable propane heaters. Those are phenomenal also for the cold days, and you can heat that whole room up nice. Those of you that do ice fish and you've been with somebody in a tent and a heater, you know how nice it can be. Again, I don't use them just because I don't have a tent. I don't really have a need. Eventually, as I start getting more experience ice fishing, and I know that when I set up a spot for the day, I'm most likely going to be staying in that spot. Maybe I start using tip-ups. I set up the tent, set up the tip-ups around. I'm inside the tent, jigging, keeping an eye on my flags to see what's popping up. That is honestly the perfect ice fishing setup. So guys, that's about it. I know ice fishing, if you're new to the sport, can be very daunting, but I hope this helps give you guys a rundown of the basics you need to get out on the water. Be safe, enjoy yourself, have a blast. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, if this was helpful, please like, subscribe. If you have any questions, please comment them below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.